You'll pay for cheating with my wife and ruining my family. The words echoed in my head as I stood at the foot of the stairs, staring at the trail of discarded clothes. A black button-down shirt sprawled across the bottom step, her blue. Bra dangling on step 3, his belt coiled like a snake on step 7. Each piece was a chapter in a story I'd been too blind to read for months. The house felt charged, heavy with the kind of electricity that hums before a storm breaks. My name is David Walsh, 38 years old, a transmission mechanic from Northern Michigan with calloused hands and, apparently, a knack for missing the obvious. I could diagnose a slipping clutch from 3 blocks away, but I couldn't see my marriage crumbling in my own bedroom. The irony stung like grease under a fingernail. I'd come home early to surprise my wife, Karen, maybe rekindle something we'd lost in the grind of 16 years. Instead, I got this. I set my toolbox down by the front door. The metallic clink swallowed by the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Each tick felt like a countdown to something inevitable. Their voices drifted from upstairs muffled laughter, the creak of bed springs. Sounds that should have been mine in the house I paid for since we were newlyweds. I sank into my recliner, the one piece of furniture that still felt like mine, and opened the Camera app on my phone. I waited, patient as a hunter in a deer blind. The laughter stopped. Water ran in the bathroom. Whispers followed. These weren't clumsy teenagers. These were adults who had perfected their betrayal. 20 minutes later, Karen descended the stairs, smoothing her hair, trying to look composed. Behind her was a guy, in his 30s, all gym-built swagger, buttoning his shirt with the confidence of Simeon who thought he'd won. Brett Sullivan, I'd later learn. Oh crap, Karen whispered when she saw me. I held up my phone, recording. Hey there, sweetheart. Having a nice afternoon. Brett stepped forward. Look, man, I can't explain. Explain what? My voice stayed calm, conversational. How you ended up naked in my bedroom. How your belt landed on me stairs. I'm curious about the logistics. Karen's face cycled through colors before settling. On pale green. David, please, just let you what? Explain how this isn't what it looks like. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're screwing someone who ain't your husband in the house I pay for. Brett puffed out his chest. You need to calm down. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Calm down, friend. I'm calm. Calm enough to notice you left your underwear on my stairs. Calm enough to record this whole conversation. And calm enough to do this. I opened FaceTime and dialed a number from Brett's wallet, which I'd swiped while they were upstairs. The call connected after 3 rings. Brett, why are you calling me from a woman's voice? Confused. Hi there, I said, holding the phone steady. I'm David Walsh. Your husband just finished having sex with my wife in my bedroom. Thought you should know. Her face crumpled. Children's laughter echoed in the background. Brett lunged for the phone. You son of a bitch, I stood, dodging his wild swing. His fist grazed my jaw, sparking stars across my vision, but I'd scrapped enough growing up to hold my ground. I dropped the phone, grabbed his wrist, and twisted. Hess screamed. Corinne was crying now, mascara streaking her cheeks. David, stop. I drove my knee into Brett's solar plexus. I doubled over, gasping. Gripping the back of his neck, I marched him to the front door. You're leaving now, I said. Collect your dignity from my stairs on the way out. If I see you here again, I'll do more than embarrass you in front of your family. I shoved him onto the porch. He stumbled, caught the railing, and turned back with murder in his eyes. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. I slammed the door. Karen sat on the bottom step, head in her hands. How long? I asked David. I can explain. How long, Karen? 6 months. 6 months. While I worked 10-hour shifts to keep the mortgage paid, She turned our bedroom into a motel. I poured myself a bourbon, neat, the burn matching the fire in my chest. I want a divorce, as Aide. Karen looked up, mascara rivers on her face. David, please, we can work this out. It was a mistake. A mistake is forgetting milk. 6 months off screwing another man in our bed is a choice. She stood, trying to compose herself. You didn't understand. You're never here. I was lonely. So you cured your loneliness by spreading your legs for the first guy who paid attention to you? Don't talk to me like that. I'll talk however I want. This is my house. It's our house. Not anymore. I dialed 911. Yeah, I need to report a trespassing and assault. A man broke into my house and attacked me. Karen's eyes widened. David, what are you doing? Making sure your boyfriend understands consents. 20 minutes later, Officer Martinez arrived. I showed him the video, the clothes, the bruise blooming on my jaw. Brett was still in his car at the end of the driveway, probably crafting lies for his wife. They arrested him in front of the neighbors, Mrs. Henderson peering from her window. By morning, the town would be buzzing. Karen packed a suitcase and left. For her sisters, claiming she needed time to cool down. I sat in the quiet house, the betrayal sinking in like damp rot. My phone buzzed. Emma, our daughter, away at college. Dad, are you okay? Brett's wife just called me crying. I'm fine. I texted back. Come home this weekend. We need to talk. Another buzz. Jim Patterson, my lawyer, heard about the arrest. Call me tomorrow. Don't sign anything. Don't move out. I poured another bourbon and surveyed the living room. 16 years of marriage reduced to scattered clothes and a cheating wife. Betrayal had a way of clarifying things, stripping away illusions. Karen wasn't the woman I'd married. She was a liar who'd played me for a fool. The next morning, Jim laid out the plan over coffee. Infidelity is grounds for divorce in Michigan. You've got video evidence, and he assaulted you. She's got no leverage. The house is ours. You've paid the mortgage for 16 years. Emma's 17. The court will consider her preference. Work became my refuge. The garage, with itchiness problems, broken gears, worn clutches, felt like the only place I could breathe. Tony, my partner, heard the news through his cousin, Martinez's wife. You okay, man? Better than fine, I said, and meant it. Karen's betrayal had freed me from a marriage I hadn't realized was choking me. Days later, a text from an unknown number. There's an over asshole. You ruined my life. Brett, out of jail and stupid enough to threaten me. I screenshotted it and sent it to Jim, who filed for our restraining order. Emma came home that weekend, hugging me nightly. Have you talked to Mom? Not since she left. She's falling apart, Dad. She's crying all that time. She made her choice, Emma. At the courthouse, Corinne's lawyer, Beth Morrison, tried to paint me as the villain, claiming my violent behavior justified emergency custody of Emma and exclusive use of the house. Judge Harrison wasn't buying it. Any evidence of Mr. Walsh being violent toward his wife or daughter? No, Your Honor, Morrison admitted. Motion denied, Harrison ruled. Mrs. Walsh forfeited sympathy when she committed infidelity. Discovery revealed Corinne's deception, $8,000, and marital funds spent on hotel rooms and gifts for Brett. The divorce hearing was brutal. Harrison granted me the house, primary custody of Emma, and ordered Corinne to repay the $8,000. No alimony. Karen sobbed. Morrison vowed to appeal. Weeks later, Brett's brother and 2 friends confronted me at the garage, threatening me to drop the charges. I recorded their threats, ducked a punch, and let Tony's tire iron do the talking. Martinez arrested them for assault and terroristic threats. I went nuclear, filing a civil suit against Brett for alienation of affection. His wife, broken and living in a cramped apartment, begged me to reconsider for her kids' sake. Your husband chilled the thought of them before he slept with my wife, I said. Walking away, Brett settled for $150,000, a signed admission of fault, and a public apology. In the local paper, I paid off the mortgage, owning my home outright at 38. Emma graduated high school and headed to Michigan State. The night before she left, she asked, "Are you going to be okay, Dad?" "I like the quiet," I said. Months later, Tony dragged Emmy to Murphy's Bar. Sarah Mitchell, a divorced ICU nurse, caught my eye reading Stephen King alone. We talked books, then tomatoes at the grocery store, then coffee. She'd been hurt too. Her husband came out as gay after 12 years. We dated quietly, building something honest. When she met Emma, they clicked. She was different from Mom. Emma said, she listens. 3 years after the divorce, Curran showed up in my driveway, gray and worn. "I don't blame you for Brett's suicide," she said. "I'm sorry for what I did to us." "I accept your apology," I said, "but we're done." Sarah and I married in the backyard, a small ceremony with Emma as maid of honor. Lying in the bedroom where betrayal unspurned, I told Sarah, "The pain taught me what I wouldn't tolerate. It led me to you." 5 years later, I had honest work, honest love, and honest peace. Curran's betrayal and Brett's downfall were favors in disguise, showing me who I was and what I deserved. Sometimes, the worst thing that happens is the best thing possible. Revenge, it turns out, is just another word for justice.